Hello and welcome to PTV World special transmission on the developing situation between India and Pakistan. And of course, in the aftermath of the 22nd of April, the Pahalgam attack, this is very, very important, in which, of course, 26 tourists were killed. And this is something Pakistan has condemned repeatedly and expressed condolences over as well. But we've seen that in a series of measures that have been taken by India in complete violation of international norms and traditions, this, of course, has resulted in the current situation in which Pakistan has exercised a lot of restraint and responsibility, but of course has taken reciprocal measures as would any sovereign country. We've seen, of course, that the international and national media has also been apprised by Pakistan with the facts as to what really is going on in the current situation and how India is responsible for state-sponsored terrorism. And this is, of course, something that we have seen has also been reiterated by the DGISPR and the Information Minister, who's also spoken to the different political elements of the country and has taken, of course, everybody on board in a briefing in which a lot of these measures have been highlighted with, of course, the kind of diplomatic channels that Pakistan has been putting forward, and then in the ways that Pakistan's military is fully prepared to thwart any untoward incident against the country and any misadventure or attack on its sovereignty. And this is extremely important given a series of measures that have been taken more recently also in terms of the way that naval ships of both the sides have been curtailed, with, of course, airspaces also being banned for travel for both the countries. And this is important also in terms of the way that the international community is currently taking note of the situation between two nuclear armed states, and something, of course, that everybody is hoping for is de-escalation. But Pakistan has put forward the facts and has talked about how it has always preferred peace, but it will be responding in a befitting manner if there is anybody who thinks otherwise, that they can go ahead with any attack on Pakistan. And this is something very, very clear that has been put forward. However, we will be seeing what sort of engagement is possible on the diplomatic front. We have seen most recently that the OIC has also been approached on this particular matter, that has called for a peaceful resolution of this particular dispute and has also asked for de-escalation from both the countries. Similar statements, of course, have come in from countries like the US. But in terms of the way that this engagement will be possible, of course, remains to be seen. At the same time, we have also seen that the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister has also directed our envoy to apprise the UN Security Council to Security Chief as well, with reference to what is going on and how exactly the current situation is developing. Whether or not these international platforms or players will be able to do something about the current situation remains to be seen, but Pakistan, of course, has made its stance very, very clear. So we're going to be taking a look at that developing situation today and try to understand what is the way forward and how do we see the current situation developing. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by analysts Farrukh Batafi and Raja Faisal, and we've also been joined online by Senior Defense Analyst Brigadier Haris Nawaz. Thank you very much, Mr. Haris, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. And I'll start with you because I want your taking in terms of the way that you've seen this situation develop. We, of course, have been very, very careful in terms of what our response is, how our restraint is going to be exercised, and what sort of responsibility Pakistan is going to put forward. At the same time, of course, we've made it very clear that we're fully prepared to meet any misadventure towards Pakistan in a befitting manner. We've done so, of course, practically in the past as well, and even now with the capability that Pakistan has put forward and the resolve that its civil and military leadership has shown makes that very, very clear also. But I want your take in terms of how you see the situation, particularly in terms of the possible move towards any sort of misadventure toward Pakistan that India might possibly think about, and how exactly do you think Pakistan's military response or resolve is fully prepared to meet that?
Sana, thank you very much. You see, the point is Pakistan government and particularly the Security Committee has shown a lot of maturity, responsibility, being a nuclear state, and I think they showed a lot of sympathy with the families who were killed. Their kith and kin were killed also, and we openly offered that please care of any independent inquiry, and government of Pakistan will support and will accept it also. But the point is, I think things have been very clear now. It was totally a stage drama and choreographed by the Raw, and Raw leaked, I think, reconfirmed that a slap has been given on the face of the Prime Minister Modi and his team, who are basically terrorists, and they are basically following our ideology of Akhand Bharat. And they are the most extremist Hindus I have ever seen. I would say 60% Hindus are moderate and they're talking logic. They're even opposition. Then the journalists, then the families of the victims, along with all, they are all having, they no problem. They're very clear about it. And they rather, I would say, they're criticizing the Indian government also. And I think by now the whole world knows what has happened. Everybody knows. Nobody is supported. Pakistan got a full support of China, Turkey, Iran, Malaysia, and like all other Azerbaijan, and of course we inform other Islamic countries and Russian also we have taken into account. So first time Pakistan has really on a very high moral grounds, and India ship has sunk to a bottom of a sea. Be very clear, and I think they're highly embarrassed, but basically they are shameless people. If a prime minister or an army staff of chief army staff of Indian can get 45 uniform person killed in Pulwama to just win general election or create a misadventure in Balakot, and this time they have got killed, I think, 27 tourists to win Bihar election. And you see, he came from Saudi Arabia and he said went to Bihar. He did not go to the families of victims. See what all he can do. But I think totally he's exposed. And Pakistan, let me assure you, the Indian media has taken the public war hysteria to a very high level, right? But now they've lost the moral ground. Nobody is getting any support. Less one American vice president, he said, yes, India can go for a limited area restricted to the Kashmir, but it should never be escalated to a regional level. This is the answer from American we have. But I think Pakistan, it has been done a great job that they took all the journalists of media people, international media, to the side, wherever Indian side, they have a concentration of a terrorist training camp. It was all clear. Pakistan response has been really good. And first time I'm so happy that Pakistan has started behaving like a real seventh nuclear world power. Because the way we gave response, the way we were so clear, we must appreciate our Chief of Minister of the last Assembly, the way I think, he addressed the overseas Pakistani, which also gave them a lot of kickback. And after that, when he visited Tella Range, the people, the HOP troops, they responded. And they get slogans in favor of Pakistan Zindabad and Chief of Minister of Zindabad. I think it was heart touching. And then we fired Abdali with 450-kilometer range. Then we fired another Al Fateh 120 range. So that speaks that Pakistan is conveyed and that we are fully prepared. One, our Indians, every inch of the area is covered by missiles. One. Number two, their Rafales, which they thought, Indians said, if we had, you remember he said, Prime Minister, if we had Rafale, Pakistan would not have this Patel parity. So I am, from your side, I am giving a warning. Please bring Rafales in here. If you have a courage, we have 300 kilometers beyond million range missile given by the Chinese. And that's why the Rafales are now not coming. They are hidden in the hangars in the airbase. If they come, they will be down. I'm telling you, while remaining Pakistan, we can put them down. Likewise, Indian Navy ship Vikrat came out and we put anti-ship missile and it has disappeared. They disappeared. So see the response. And now we have said, if you fire one missile, we're going to fire 10. If you bring aircraft, they will not go back. And those pilots will not be given fantastic fee. We'll give them something else. And if you carry voluntarism, it's an act of war. And we are very particular. I would say immediately, because you must have seen, they redirected the water from Bulgaria dam to, and now from 40,000 cubic, it has reduced to 3,000 cubic. It's very serious. It's a rice crop in Punjab and Sindh. So if we are late by 7-10 days, it is going to affect our yield. Therefore, Pakistan must warn the United Nations, Indians, and our all neighboring, it's a regional countries and America, that we are giving warning for 7 to 10 days. If India doesn't release water, then our everything is fixed on those sites, on those dams, and nobody should blame us later. This message should be very clear, loud and clear. We've already said, but I think we mean business, and that Indian stupid prime minister and the warmongers should understand that Pakistan means business.
Right, absolutely. And Faisal, I want your perspective in this as well, because it's essential in terms of the ways that we've spoken about the resolve that the country has in both the civil and military leadership. We've seen the DG Asper and the Information Minister sit together and talk about this in a very important political briefing. But I want your take in terms of how do we see that in terms of actually helping us making that unified stance, both in terms of whatever military response we can give, but also in terms of the diplomatic ways that we have to engage the international partners or platforms such as the UNSC to take a look at the situation.
Yes, and obviously when we take the example of this particular incident, of course, right after that there was a response that came from Pakistan, and that was of course a response of any matured nation. And of course, when we talk about Pakistan, the way Pakistan reacted to it and responded it, that was right up there, and it is being received as and hailed as a significant one. Pakistan simply said that this requires a non-biased probe, and when the investigation is conducted, and Pakistan is ready to be part of that investigation as well, and if somebody wants to come from other nations as well, they are most welcome. And India must allow the access to the international media as well, so that they can understand what's going on and how big number of Indian military is present in there. Why Pakistan said this? Because of course we know that India has turned Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir into the most militarized zone, where nothing can be happening without the consent of Indian military itself. So if this has happened and 26 people, they have lost their lives, then it must be probed. The reason being, there must be people within the system of India that actually let it happen, or maybe they are the ones who actually conducted it. In both cases, of course, the involvement is there from the Indian military or Indian intelligence side, and that needs to be probed. And at the same time, Pakistan said that Jafar Express incident needs to be probed as well, because we want to tell the world that in Pakistan, whatever is happening on the Western Front, to engage Pakistan on the Western Front, of course, India is facilitating and financing the terrorism in Pakistan, and that needs to be of course looked into as well. When it comes to Pakistan's stance from the side of the military, I mean, since the very first day, I mean, always we have seen Pakistan's armed forces, they are up and ready for anything to defend Pakistan. But since that day especially, I mean, all of the forces and then intelligence services of Pakistan, be it Air Force, be it Air Force intelligence, be it Naval Force or Naval Force intelligence, MI, military, ISI, all of them, they were up to their toes, and throughout the night and throughout the day, they have been alert, and it was a full alert to safeguard Pakistan's any domain. And when it comes to the civilian side, of course, we have seen one of the very important thing which I wanted to highlight it today, as we are a democracy, and democracy is all about the will of the people, and will of the people is shown in the parliament. And today, parliament, all of the political parties, they have simply said in parliamentary session that we are standing shoulder to shoulder with our armed forces, and anyone who would be of course eyeing upon Pakistan with the evil eyes, of course we will be defending the country to the last moment, and that's how it should be. All of the political parties, they have shown unity, they have shown that their courage is equally standing with the courage of our courageous armed forces. And when we talk about people at large, I mean, it is always said about Pakistan, people of Pakistan, they're not a country that would be, scared of a country like India, while they are, of course, putting the slogans of attack Pakistan on their Indian media. Yeah. People were just mocking them. The kind of memes we have been watching, people were simply, talking about DHA Calcutta and, DHA Mumbai, and that was, I mean, what should I tell you about what social media memes are all about, whatever was going on. It was marvelous to watch, and I think even Indians, they themselves started criticizing their own media. I mean, since few days I have been watching memes coming from the Indian side, and that was entirely related to the Indian media, the kind of mockery they have sort of conducted since the day one of their own forces, because eventually everyone would be pointing a finger on their own forces. How is it possible that this can be happening in under the highly secured kind of zone? They can do it. How is it possible? And when it comes to civil military relations of Pakistan, and the way civil military sat together and briefed the journalists and took people of Pakistan in confidence, and I think that was marvelous. And the way Pakistan's stance was, it was simply a professional stance of a matured country. And now that's why we are seeing that even the most powerful countries of the world, they are standing with Pakistan's narrative. Even today's statement which has come from United Nations Security General, Antonio Guterres, he has simply said that both of the countries, they have to show the restraint, and at the same time he has said that so far, of course, Pakistan's stance is clear. Pakistan is not going for a war. Pakistan is simply seeking a probe into it, and Pakistan wants to behave like a mature country. It's up to India as well. They have to mature as well.
Absolutely. And Farooq, I want your take on this in terms of what is being developed or revealed about how we're looking at both the countries and the political fabric of both the countries as well. While we, of course, have a very important political briefing today, there's also, of course, what Faisal has been pointing towards in terms of what is happening to the kind of polarities or different opinions that exist within India, and the way that the public is looking at their own government, or how their own different political elements are actually panning out. So when we look at both India and Pakistan in that context, especially with the given situation, what are you seeing for both the countries in the ways that they're coming out?
Right, Sana, thank you very much for the question. First of all, a little while ago, before the start of our program, the UN Secretary General called Prime Minister Pakistan, and he offered to mediate between the two countries. Before this, we have seen Iran actually making similar statement, and then Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, also making exactly the same kind of statement. But he also had a caveat, if both countries agree. So Pakistan is totally open to moderation, right? And that will be great news if both sides can actually find a working solution rather than escalating all the time.
But will India agree?
Yeah?
Will India agree?
Well, actually, I'm coming to that, Sana, because there's a long story. Narendra Modi and his government actually spent a very busy day today. But there's something that appeared which is worrying me. And it has nothing to do with the media's belligerence. It has nothing to do with the statements that are coming from their leaders, or for that matter, their build-up on the borders. What happened was, last night I was sent a letter by somebody. It was actually addressed to the minister, but it was sent by allegedly by India's Chief of Army Staff. And the letter said that because you have actually sacked a commander, Northern Command, and because of that, circumstances are such that the army is really demoralized. And you're asking us to be more belligerent, something of that sort. So I thought that it must be a made-up, letter, because it is the age of AI, and in warfare, everybody actually tries to churn out as much, text possible. But what happened today was that it seems that today, while there was security meeting, which was attended by the CDS, the guy who actually had all three forces, right? His name is also here, Anil Chauhan, right? The Air Chief and the Naval Chief. It seemed that Indian Army Chief was snubbed. He wasn't there. So that would actually worry you, because I could understand if the circumstances were such that India was totally unified, focused on all things, then they could control something and they can actually externalize something. But if there is some rumbling within ranks and file, then it becomes a problem of civil military relations. And because of that, you don't have that kind of options, right? So today there was this meeting that I discussed. On top of that, we saw a report coming out that Dassault, the company that actually gave Rafale to India, also because they procured certain naval planes also. So it gave $1 million per plane kickback to Indian company and something of that sort. So corruption charges also, that also creates problem. Then, yesterday India's defense minister actually somehow played a game on air in front of so many people. He made it Modi's war. And he said that Modi ji will not disappoint you, right? People thought that if there was a way to de-escalate, that window is going away. Modi ji also spoke to President Putin today. So the statement that was put out, and usually it happens that Russian side actually puts out the statement. This time it was India that put out the statement. Amazingly, while there is moral support from Russia, there's one word that is missing: Pakistan. And you know what exactly is going on. So at this moment, it seems that India is really worried because the entire world seems to be asking it to show restraint, not to go for it. But their crazy media keeps on building up this pressure and this temperature, which actually indicates to the government that they have to do something.
Yeah.
Now, they also cite this, that their media is very popular and they actually reflect the sentiment of the people. But Sana, who are we kidding? If everything is controlled, if Indian side and their even most moderate, people cannot talk about Pakistan without 4 times cursing us, right? Do you think that anything is, without control? All those ratings are also cooked up. So because of that, whatever you are seeing on television, this madness is happening at the behest of somebody from within the government. We don't know whom. There are people who are asking the questions regarding Pahalgam, that this area was not actually under the domain of army, right? You sacked Northern Commander, but the fact is it was under CRPF, right? Which actually reports to whom? Amit Shah. Why haven't you sacked him? Right? So there are these questions. So I think that things are volatile, but I don't want to be in Modi ji's chair right now.
Right, absolutely. Brigadier Haris, I want on this as well, given, of course, the way that Pakistan has put forward a very, very clear stance in terms of what our response will be. There's, of course, the kind of calls that we've seen coming in from diplomatic channels calling for, of course, de-escalation, and most importantly, of course, with the UNSC or the US and other such countries. But I want your take in terms of what you understand from the Indian perspective. How exactly do you think that this is going to pan out, whether or not the call that Pakistan has been putting forward of an independent investigation or probe, or the calls of these diplomatic partners of mediation will actually be met by any positive response from India?
You see, the problem in Indians, they know there is a false flag operation, and the raw leak has already given ample examples. They wanted to have artificial intelligence interviews. They wanted to blame ISA after 3-4 days. But the Indian media, I think they got overexcited and they immediately started talking about Pakistan involvement in that. So that was the reason. Actually, because we have been very lukewarm with Indians. When Jafar Express incident occurred, the terrorists were attacking Jafar Express, and the whole of Indian media and social media were fighting their information warfare of terrorists. And we could not capitalize on that. That's the difference. And now we are not involved, but they have created so much hype that Indian 50% public were thinking that Pakistan had done it. But now their public, everybody rises to know it was a false flag operation. Important thing is that now when even United Nations General Secretary says or Americans say that both sides should show restraint, we are already showing restraint. We have done initiate. We said we will not initiate, and we will not be provocated also. But the point is, somebody should tell Indian that you have made a wrong thing. Please hold on and don't be over excited and don't create problem for the whole region. Nobody is saying because of the Indian influence all over the world because of their own might and everything. But point is, the way we were discussing Indian army, I'm telling you frankly, and this has been discussed in India by the senior leadership. Indian army is not fit to fight. They said we had been told there will be no conventional war. And now you're asking us. We are not prepared. One, they are unprofessional and definitely they have no clue. They can only kill innocent Kashmiri women, old people, and children. This is the difference. Then they don't trust. You see, Northern Command is the biggest command in Indian side. It's whole of Kashmir and total Gilgit, right up to the Chinese area. And that with 15 and 16 corps are there, that Northern Commander is sacked, you know. Then the Deputy Chief Army Staff, who had, I think, told them that our pilots are not trained to handle these Rafales. We need more time or we'll lose these machines, which are very expensive. You see, $9 billion only they purchased 26 Rafales and they are still hiding in the hangars. He was sacked. And then, of course, General Rana, who I think his office leaked this information of raw intelligence leak, he has been sacked. So see the difference here. The whole nation is united. Everybody is standing behind Chief Army Staff, the military, the people of Pakistan, and the government of Pakistan. And I think we must thank Indians that their narrative is gone for the six weeks. They always wanted to divide army and people of Pakistan, wash out army, weaken army, and then they do whatever they want to do. So those things are now gone. We are now standing as a nation to fight and stop any aggression by Indian. And now Indian knows that this is the problem. The their population is divided. RRS on one side, the rest of the India is on one side. So this is a big difference. That's why I say okay, now things have totally changed. First time, Pakistan government or foreign office have done their job, and our media and social media had beaten India. Honestly, they were accepting it. The way logically and the whole day and night, they have done their war rooms and everything is manipulated, and they change the opinion of. You see the Twitter and so many things. People are accepting about Pakistan is saying, and a trend going on that they are saying Modi ko hatao or India ko bachao. This is a trend going on now. So see the difference what we have done. I think the great job our media and this social media has done it. And along with this, of course, our DG information, DG ISO, they've taken all the international media. Can India take it? United Nations Military Observer Group is posted on this line of control. They had also come, we have taken, they're allowed to go anywhere. They don't take it. And can India take international media now to the site? Everything will be exposed. They will never do it. So pressure should be on Indians that only go for investigation. I would expect India can't go for any misadventure. Less one odd small in Kashmir to show the public for saving. Nothing else they can do. But if you have big heart, he should come on. He should say, I apologize to the government of Pakistan. We are going to hold inquiry and then we'll report something. That is what is the only option left in India.
Right. Thank you very much, Brigadier Harris, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. Yes, Faisal, you wanted to add something?
I wanted to, highlight where did India fail altogether. They start failing altogether. That was the moment when they talked about will stop the waters of Pakistan. First of all, they could never do it. They don't have the capability to do it. And they said, we are going reversed on IWT and we are not going to, this is going to be abrogated and we are going to punish Pakistan by not allowing them any water and we want to see Pakistan thirsty and all. It is more of a, when you're living in a village and your opposite party, if your fields are getting watered after their fields, they'll stop the water and they can't do anything about that water. Eventually, they have to open that water to go somewhere. And the only where that water can go is, of course, again to your own land. And this is the problem there. First of all, they don't have the capacity to store all of that water. Reason being, we have already highlighted in this show that the existing capacity of India, the whole India, the total capacity is 4 billion cusecs. And if we talk about the waters of all of these rivers, that is 120 billions of cusecs every year that water is there. So it is impossible to do that, number one. And now, as we on Friday we highlighted this issue as well, that with slowly they have come to terms with it, that it is going to be highly negative on part of India to play like this against Pakistan. Reason being, I mean, the whole world straight away, as soon as they said that we are going to abrogate IWT and we are going to stop the waters of Pakistan, the whole world stood with Pakistan. Reason being, this is not only going to, I mean, this is, first of all, this is very naive of India to figure out that somehow they can stop the waters that are coming every year. You can't literally stop them. And secondly, to destroy all of the fauna and flora and the natural habitat of the animals, the natural habitat of the birds and the trees and all of that. You are going to destroy that just for one sake, and that is that you want to punish Pakistan. I mean, this is not going to be allowed, especially when the world is so aware of climate change, so aware of everything that is being consumed in our atmosphere, and on top of that they are there to, of course, hit against one of the oldest river civilizations of the world.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be allowed, and now they have started coming to terms with it, and now they are seriously thinking about it to revive their diplomatic face in the world stage.
Yeah.
They have to, of course, come to terms with it, and they have to, of course, reverse this slogan which they used in different political processions, and of course they have to reverse that.
Right, but Farooq, I want to understand how exactly will that happen, because when we talk about reversing, and especially with the kind of media and the rhetoric that you were earlier mentioning and the difficult spot that the government seems to be in, despite that pressure, how is that going to happen?
Right, Sana. First of all, I think that I haven't seen another government that keeps on actually raising stakes for itself, which actually keeps on maneuvering itself into further and further crisis. For example, Pakistan was one thing. Then their anchor had to actually interview Professor Gao in one of the programs, and he clearly supported Pakistan's position. Now they are obsessing about Bangladesh. They have actually started most of the business with Bangladesh, and it seems that it is also going to, bite them in the neck. It seems right now that they might have created a situation, if things go haywire, then it can be a 3-front war, not 2-front war, right? With that kind of silliness, madness, it is difficult to help any government. But that reference that I made about civil-military relations, look, in Pakistan, it is no big deal. It has been happening since 1947. But in India, if something is really seriously this wrong, it should create a lot of problem, because then we don't know what exactly happens, right? They can go mad, they can try to externalize it by starting a full-blown war or something of that sort, on the principle, use it or lose it, right? So at this moment, that is worrying. I think that while Modi ji has been quite quiet, so to speak, hasn't named Pakistan once. Similarly, his ministers, even the defense minister, has not named Pakistan, right? It was only Amit Shah who actually spoke about boond ke liye pyasa kar denge or something, right? Unfortunately, these people are educated by Bollywood. The lines that they use are usually dialogues from their movies. So that kind of mental deterioration actually leads to a foot and mouth disease, and it actually leads to mad cow disease, right? And the biggest problem is right now that the media has whipped up such a kind of frenzy that even people who want to say don't go, don't do it, have to start with 2 caveats. without evidence, we accept that it was Pakistan that must have done it, right? Those people must have invisibility cloaks so that they kept on actually moving across 200 kilometers and just appeared there, right? Or apparated, so to speak, in Harry Potter's world. And then they dissipated and now we can't even find them. But yes, it is Pakistan which must have done it. Similarly, now the evidence that they are actually talking about, they couldn't intercept the audio of the so-called terrorists. I don't know whether they were intercepting any poor Johnnies or they were actually intercepting the terrorists, but they did something. Instead of voice, they just claim that China's satellite was pinged, right? And then they start actually creating this environment. Who knows who was talking, what was being said, what exactly happened? 5 people, you're telling us, traveled across, 200 kilometers with, M4 rifles, which are yay big, right? Without hiding, and all these satellite operators stayed there. Must have carried a truckload of food as well along with them, then went for recce, then came back and continued for 25 minutes and nobody moved at all. There was no police reaction, there was no report. It is actually lowering your own bar so that somebody can get away with whatever they want to, so that you can create such kind of situation.
Right.
So in that kind of state of affairs, while I'm somebody very powerful, somebody really good, actually great, yesterday said this issue will be, and it was on record, I'm not going to name them, but a great person. They said that this issue will be resolved within 24 to 48 hours. So I'm hoping that this UN call, this Putin call, any of them might have actually moved the needle in support of de-escalation. But do you know, today Home Ministry actually announced something else. They actually sent out an order for states to carry out the war drills, which have never happened since 1971. So either it is a good ploy to remind people you can face blackouts, so don't actually support it.
Right.
Or it can be something else.
Yeah,
right. Thank you.
by the way, I wanted to highlight. I'll
just come back to you after the headlines, and we'll continue. Then we'll take a short break and be right back.